Hello, it's Tom here from Digital Foundry, and today we have a Digital Foundry Direct with two very special guests. I've known you two for a while. Yeah, we're here to talk about a game quite dear and near to us, which is...
To you, yeah.
Yes.
It's fine.
I know, we're here to kind of proselytize it to you as best we can. Yeah, it is a tough one because, well, you went to E3 to see it.
Because life's not fair.
You were on honeymoon.
Yeah, but still. We're flown back.
But yes, I did. I went and despite never having played Final Fantasy VII when I was growing up, I got hands-on with it at the show and I saw the presentation and everything, and I'll be honest, I was really impressed.
Well, yeah, and I'm very envious because it's probably my favourite game of all time. Hence why we're doing the Direct. I just thought, well, there's one stone left unturned with the E3 coverage, and that's properly diving into what people felt of the game on the show floor. I mean, I did a tech analysis earlier around the time of E3, but I could only judge so much from just like, you know...
It's a very short demo, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not overly long. It kind of takes you from getting onto the train platform where they're like, Merc, get off the train, your ticket doesn't go any further or whatever, all the way to fighting the big like scorpion, guard scorpion. Yes, I'm so glad you're here. So yeah, not super long, but it was still like a decent enough chunk of time that I could kind of get used to the fluid combat system, which swaps between real-time attacks and the menus.
I think that's the thing that people are really unsure of, really, because like, I mean, we have very fond memories, obviously, of the original, but I don't know if you've played it recently. It is, but like the combat is so low, unless you do the PS4 sort of remaster, or well, the Switch as well now, where like you can like literally a click of a button speed it up by 3 times, which is very handy.
It is handy having that 3 times speed up. I thought it was sacrilege to do that because it's just tinkering with It does not hold up like the old style ATB wait for them to fill the bar. Yeah, I mean, as you can see from like the kind of comparison stuff, they've gone to town on this game. It's just been, you know, it's a dream come true in so many ways. Like when this came out, I was most excited about just the fact it had FMVs. Like the cutscenes, there was about, I think they were so proud to say they had like 20, 30 minutes of cutscenes.
Like of actual cutscenes. I mean, I came to it a bit later. I wasn't playing it when it first came out. But I do remember like people talking about how it was, you know, such a cutting edge thing to have like so many FMVs, full motion video. Like that's how far we've come that was like had to be abbreviated. But it still blew me away when I did eventually come to it. And yeah, like it's literally been talking about seeing these things. I mean, Advent Children, like, it was pure fan service, but you still got to see the characters in a new setting, even though, but it still wasn't exactly what you wanted.
No, that was an incredible feat. It was a good length of time after the game came out, and it was just a chance to see these characters rendered properly, like looking like the characters we'd imagined they were, rather than these dumpy little polygonal
I still love the original designs, like I do, like, and I still have a lot of love, even because I do play the game still fairly regularly even now, the original, and like, yeah, it's definitely dated, but there's still a lot of charm in that design, and I guess that's why it's going to be really interesting to see how they bring some of it up to date. Like, I mean, scenes like when they're on the boat to Junon and they stuff Red 13 into a sailor suit, like, that's just not going to work in retail in the remake, but like it'll be interesting to see how they interpret it.
We were talking a bit about this earlier, like that before recording this I thought I'll just jump in and see like a little bit of Final Fantasy VII. Let's have a look at what the enemies look like after that demo section.
Right. And
there was like this segment after you find Aeris and you just bump into an enemy which is just a giant house. Yeah, and it's like, alright, so they can do the Guard Scorpion. That looks pretty good in the new game.
Yeah. And an Airbuster. Which looks awesome as well. Actually, you know what? Like if you look back at the news trailers for the remake, all of the enemy designs are actually really close to the originals. Like the Sahagin,
Sahagin,
like they look pretty ridiculous. They don't make a lot of sense to be in this sort of like dystopian world, but they've made it work.
But they're sewer creatures, right? So with tridents and
Apps as well is very similar. Where like, I mean, he's a ridiculous, very colorful design in the original game, but they've they've made that palette work, and I mean, obviously he's got very like distinctive features, like the chains around his wrists and everything.
Yes.
But yeah, like you're right when it comes to things like a giant enemy house, or like when they get to the Shinra Mansion, there's guys like swinging on pendulums, or there's like centaurs. You know, it's like some of those designs I feel are probably gonna.
So what I think is like Final Fantasy VI had these crazy designs where you had like sprites fighting other giant sprites, and the bigger the sprite, the more impressive like the boss it was. So you sometimes fighting a whole train, you know. And all the characters are kind of running backwards while fighting a massive train. It's like, it happened.
But and they're going to find ways to do it. I mean, like some of the enemies in 7 are literally a wall, like the demon wall and everything. Like that's I think that could look really cool. The thing that I'm interested to see is how the summons are going to work, because I think like that was a real problem for Final Fantasy 15, where the summons were amazing, but by their very nature of being these huge beings, the developers had to restrict the ways in which they could be used, which meant it was almost randomized, which kind of took them out of the equation when you actually really needed them. So like things like Titan or Leviathan, you had to be near a body of water, you had to be out in the open. I think the Titan could be summoned underground, but anyway, the point was like, you know, they wanted these things to have size and scale, and they did, but that meant that in a confined area, you maybe couldn't really, they just wouldn't work, which is why in the Midgar section, if you remember, in the original game, there are no summons. You only get your first summon at the Chocobo farm.
Yep.
So like, I'm wondering if they're going to save all that stuff for the same sort of, in the same way.
Because the scale of this portion of the game has been kind of extrapolated to a point where they're covering 2 Blu-ray discs, which feels great because it's like, okay, it's a bit like back in the day when you had 3 CD-ROMs, and you like, okay, it feels like a bit more of an event. Like there's a scale to the production. But yeah, totally. It's like, I don't know if they can really expand it to the point where they can have all the features that we were waiting for after Midgar.
Yeah, and of course there are a lot of summons in the original as well. The other thing to note is that in the collector's editions and in the deluxe editions of the remake, there are summons as extra content, but they're all very small. I think there's like Chocobo Chick, Carbuncle and Cactuar, and 2, none of those were in the original game, so they are clearly being treated as optional extras, but they're summons still. So does that mean the only summons you're going to get in this first episode of the remake are DLC, or does that mean they're going to bring summons in at an earlier point?
I mean, the new ones aren't exactly canon, are they? They're kind of just like the sort of extras they're thrown in. But
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, maybe it makes sense that those are the ones they'll have for this one. But yeah, it's definitely the idea of scale. It helps that they're doing Midgar because they can just confine it. In fact, the original game was all pre-rendered backdrops, so they had that pretty much all the way through Midgar, and they'd be animated, and like they'd have some fire and lightning crackle across the top. It all looked incredible for the day, but what that meant was avoided pretty much any like 3D world. So they could just change the scale, like supersized compared to the world.
And it doesn't always work when he's like standing on top of the church, almost the same size as it.
Yeah, like just after finding Eris, right?
Yeah.
They've lost the charm, I think, but made it more consistent in the world, a scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's you can't have it shot for shot and exactly the same. I think there will be a lot of charm there. Like it's weird in the news trailer where you see the inside of Seventh Heaven. And a really great thing that was pointed out on Twitter about that is that one of the photos, you know, in the trailer where Cloud and Tifa are sitting down at the bar.
Yes.
Behind the bar are a bunch of photos, and one of the photos is a top-down image of Seventh Heaven from the original game.
I did not notice. That's awesome.
Zoom in, which is like, and I hope that there's going to be lots of little touches like that for like old school fans to enjoy.
So, Johnny, we're babbling about the original a lot.
Right.
I feel like we're excluding it on this.
It's nice to hear people talk passionately about something.
Yeah, but one of the questions I've got is like, I know you did a Let's Play together on this. What did you think of the original, leaving it there? What's your opinion? Does it hold up to a newcomer? And going into the remake, what's kind of the thing that makes you think this has actually turned me around to the idea of playing the game?
So I think actually that Let's Play we did on the Eurogamer YouTube channel was really useful because it was exactly the same section that I played in the demo, and I remember when we were sort of wrapping that video up, I was like, I can see why this appealed. And you know, like it's been so long now that because I don't have that investment in those memories, like it's not something I would play because, you know, like it does look a bit, I mean, the characters do look a bit dumpy, as you put it, and like the combat is quite slow, but it meant that when I was playing the demo at E3, I just went, I get it now.
Okay.
Like there was more nuance in the characters. Like I didn't like Cloud when I first played it because all of his silences, I was like, this guy's a jerk.
But that's the point.
But,
I think,
right.
Like, I think, yeah,
He's stuck.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but he's a jerk. Like he's supposed to be a jerk, and I think like it becomes apparent over time. Obviously, that's that's the only insight you got into that character.
Yeah.
Not to like be all no, but you didn't play it. You know? Like, but yeah,
There is more. There is a lot
Yeah.
more to.
But you're right. The remake kind of tempers that.
Yeah, I could tell there was more nuance there because he would be silent, but he would kind of from his reactions, like I knew that there was more going on there, which was nice. And also, like Aoife would be the first one to tell you that like the ATB system kind of flummoxes me sometimes because I'm like, hang on, I'm waiting at some points and then doing other things is sometimes really time sensitive and critical. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Whereas the swapping between sort of like fluid stuff and then slowing right down to access the ATB menu, like it just really worked for me. It's like you build up your charges and then you're like, okay, great. You sort of stick your head up, go, where are we tactically? What do we need to be doing?
Yes.
And then you make a choice and it happens and it feels impactful. And it clicked with me like in a really big way.
It just gives you more to do by the looks of things. Like you can switch between different modes. You can switch between characters because obviously they make more of a thing of the fact that Cloud is up close and personal, whereas you switch to Barret in the Guard Scorpion fight because the Guard Scorpion jumps up onto the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then only bullets and magic can reach it, and like it just means that you're more, as you say, tactically involved and more in the moment rather than. Gotta wait for this little bar to fill up before I can do something.
And being able to give orders as well. If you don't want to swap, you can stay with a character if you're like trying to do something, but you can go into ATB mode and be like, okay, I need you to go in there and do this particular move, and it would just felt really good.
It sounds an awful lot like the system they had in Final Fantasy 13, which may have been the only, well, for my taste anyway, the only good part of that game, honestly.
But you don't like fighting in corridors?
No. But, you know, they took a lot of good stuff from that, like the stagger bar, basically.
Yes,
and the fact you can kind of on the fly switch between characters or sort of give commands that way. Yeah, that works. I think it was underappreciated in a game like Final Fantasy 13, which was wrapped in a very sort of mundane adventure without, but this time they've got like everything combined with what I think is a very good story.
Yes.
Another part of this I thought is worth chatting on is, so at the same time, at the same E3 presentation, they announced Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. And I thought to myself that, gosh, I kind of wish I had a bit of that in Final Fantasy VII, like the one we got, just the conversion.
Yes.
Like the models in the port we've got on Switch and PS4 they're pretty much preserved as is.
Pretty much.
There was a glitch actually in the PlayStation version I played back in the day where they didn't actually have mouths.
Oh wow.
So.
Oh, I think I've seen bits of that. Yeah.
So they had no mouths on the PlayStation. It's an error. They fixed that for the ports. So finally, I get to see like basic mouths. But still, that's not quite cutting it for what I expected of a. And they could have easily touched it up with a Final Fantasy VIII remaster style port, and that wouldn't have changed too much, and at least appease some of the fans.
They didn't do a bunch with it, but there's certain things that I've noticed as I've played different ports and iterations over the years that they've kind of improved. Like for instance, for years I didn't realise that Barret had a tattoo.
And then
true. It's obvious now because you can see it a bit better. It's like this flaming skull, and now as it's gone on and things have gotten like a little bit sharper, you can make it out now. And then finally in the remake, it's like, oh, there it is. Looks awesome. Yeah, like.
So yeah, it looks great. Does it look like it's smooth?
It certainly seemed it to me. I mean, I was getting sort of distracted by all the bells and whistles of the camera sort of moving dynamically between cutscenes and
which I hear is really good.
Like it's really smart and dynamic. I mean, it certainly seems smooth to me. I don't know, like. Oh no.
Don't worry, I know the feeling. When you're on the show floor, it's almost impossible to get a read because the TVs might have motion smoothing on. You just can't tell sometimes. But what I got from my side, sat at home, just miserably not playing it was just they gave all the press like a 24 FPS encode from, I don't know, Premiere or Final Cut.
Right.
And so it was like proper jerky. So when I put together one of the analysis videos, I think you may have noticed, but there's a lot of stutter and judder like on one side, and I was like, oh man, there's not much I can do about that. But yeah, got the point across.
So wait, what, like 7 months?
7 months, yeah.
Ugh. And
It'll
then
be-
God knows how long until the rest of the game, because we're only getting it in bits.
I know. So, excited?
Oh my God, yes.
Actually, yeah. Like, I'm probably going to play this one. Like, and that for me to actually give a monkeys about a Final Fantasy game, I'm
This is
still
growth.
getting over this.
I
Like,
know.
You
this
wanted
is
to
a
hear
lot.
what he said about Cloud the first time we played it.
Yeah.
It was,
It was
yeah.
not complimentary.
Nope.
I guess to quickly move on from Final Fantasy VII, I was going to ask you guys before we started. Actually, what are you guys up to? What's been on the agenda this week? Is there like in terms of projects you're working on? And
I can't talk about what I'm doing because I left Eurogamer a few weeks ago to start
Yes.
work on an upcoming tabletop website from Gamer Network. It's not launched, so that's literally all I can say.
that was a sad day for about 5 minutes before I realised, oh, we're going to
He's
see
not
you
going
every day.
anywhere.
Yeah, we had my leaving drinks on the Friday and I was back in on the Monday, like, hi.
That guy again.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's going to
Nice.
be, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Very exciting. Yeah, we're just having new people start at Eurogamer very soon to replace this guy, and then some more people on top of that, perhaps, maybe. I can't also things I can't talk about, but we've got lots of videos. One every day, in fact. So
One every day.
Go and check them out. And
Yeah.
we actually do have a lot of Final Fantasy VII videos because I keep making them and they can't tell me no. So
Right now, it's you and Ian hauling the weights to
Yes.
keep that going.
I know it's we've managed it somehow.
Uh-oh, that kind of
Yeah.
suggests I wasn't doing
Yeah,
much heavy
side
lifting
eye.
before I left.
Fine.
God damn it. Yeah, well, speaking of Ian, one of the things I've been doing like over the last week or two, I went to Hamburg with the guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
so sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I get along
Apparently
with.
the boat smelled pretty bad.
Yes, it was terrible.
So what was it? It was like a haunted boat experience for Man of Medan.
Yes, we can talk about it now because the
Okay.
embargo is up on that. But yeah, there'll be an analysis piece on that. Working on it for next week, I guess. And yeah, the gist is they took us over to basically take capture of it, and it looks like a proper sequel to Until Dawn. So I was happy about that. But yeah, they did dress it up in this trip where we were on a boat, and they had a kind of zombie experience where they
Okay.
took us through the engine room, and they switched off the lights and then had sort of zombies reach at our ankles as we were trying to run through.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's a
No.
health and safety nightmare.
Yes, exactly. You could have hit your head.
Yeah.
I genuinely, that was more worrying to me than the actors playing zombies. That was just,
You know what? At least it wasn't the UK one, because not to dunk on the PR or anything, but they did it in a boat on the Thames. But it's the boat outside the Walkabout by Temple, where like so when I was at uni, we'd sort of stumble out of Walkabout at like 2 a.m. and be like, "Let's go on the party boat," and it was awful. Like it was a bar that was just permanently open.
Oh, no.
So you dodged a bullet there at least.
yeah. But yeah, as I say, Ian was he made a vlog. You can see it if you want, perhaps on
One of
A
Ian's
vlog?
famous vlogs.
vlog. Yeah, that's what he called.
Yeah.
Vlog.
Yeah, he does it to wind people up.
Oh.
That's stressed you out, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Vlog.
I can only imagine what he was like though in an immersive horror boat experience. I'm
I loved-
assuming he was just yelling at you a lot.
He was a pest,
That sounds about
but a
right.
lovable pest, all the same.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that wraps up everything. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me on this. It's, I hope-
It's not
I know,
fair.
well, the idea of like DF directors, we're going to have like guests on, John and Rich and Alex, people I'll be talking to like when they're available. But also, it's nice to have fresh perspectives from the Eurogamer team, and like so, I'll be bringing reporters from the news team as and when things come up to just get their opinions on the goings on in the industry. So, but yeah, you two were the first to come onto it, so thanks so
Amazing.
much.
If you ever want me on to talk about the thickness of cardboard,
Got
then
it.
I am your man.
Right, okay.
It's a brave new world.
I will just be here to talk about Tifa Lockhart whenever.
All right.
whenever.
I'll hold you to that. But yes, if you did like this video, please feel free to like or subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications as they land. And The video's on our Patreon at digitalfoundry.net, and to get in touch directly, just use Twitter. But from me, Aoife, and Johnny, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.